Hi, this is Mr. Evans. This video is going to look at making a knowledge organiser. So a knowledge organiser is a document, usually just an A4 piece of paper, and it lays out the key information that you need to know for a topic, a subtopic, a whole unit, whatever. But it shows you the key bits of information and you can use it once you've created it as a revision tool. So your teacher might have given you a knowledge organiser, but I'm encouraging you at this point to make your own knowledge organiser. So why do I encourage that? Why do I encourage my students to make knowledge organisers when we've actually made them? Well, there are a number of reasons. The first is that you're going to need to identify the key information in a topic or unit of work and then prioritise what to include in your knowledge organiser. If you make a knowledge organiser yourself, you're making a personalised knowledge organiser. You're not just accepting one that's been given to you. And that's going to force you to engage in a topic in a unit of work, and you're going to have to work out what to include. Once you've identified the key things that you want to include, then you're going to have to think about how to group the information and present the information in the most effective way. So you can see in this primary school one, the topic is called How Are You? They've included the key things that they need to know. They've identified the key skills. They've identified the key vocabulary, and then it seems that they've included 3 key topics here: parts of the body, types of diet, and the 5 senses. So they've gone through a process where they've thought, right, this is how I'm going to group the information, and as a result of that, they'll have a better understanding of the topic itself. So you're going to need to think about what images to include. If you make your own knowledge organiser and you include images, you can see that these are the images that they've chosen here. So it doesn't need to be terribly onerous to do this, but there's a fair amount of cognitive science, which is the science of learning, that says this process of matching text with words is a more effective way to learn stuff than just putting in words alone. So if you're thinking about what images to include, that's going to reinforce the learning, make it deeper, and you'll have a better understanding of the topics as a result, better recall of the topics as a result. Finally, at the end of it, you're going to have a personalised resource that's based on your revision priorities that you can come back to and use to test yourself. Now, this is an example of an A-level student last year who made a knowledge organiser. The topic was internal finance on this page. The student has identified key topics, they've identified key definitions, and they've put in pros and cons, and they've colour-coded these green and red. So actually it was far more extensive than just one PowerPoint slide, but that was an example of a knowledge organiser that a student made for themselves. So how do you actually do it? What are the steps? Well, first of all, you need to identify the topic, the unit that you are going to create the knowledge organiser for. And then step 2, you're going to have to find out what you need to know in that unit or topic. So, for example, I think the best place to go is the specification that outlines the key learning that you're going to need to do. This is released by the GCSE or A-level exam board, and it tells you the subject content. So this is GCSE business. You can see there are 6 units. Let's say that I wanted to do a knowledge organiser on business in the real world. Well, what I can do is have a look through the topics in business in the real world. You can see there's the purpose and nature of business, business ownership, setting business aims and objectives. All of these are key topics. You'll notice that I could even do a knowledge organiser on each of the subtopics within that. You know, I could do a whole knowledge organiser on business ownership. But the key steps 1 and 2, identify the unit or topic and find out exactly what you need to know. Step 3 is to make a list of the key content that you want to include based on your revision priority. So once you know everything that's in the spec, you can then start to prioritise what you want to include in your personalised knowledge organiser. and that is going to help you identify your revision priorities, so you'll have a better understanding of the unit and what you need to know. You're then going to decide how to group the information. So this student here, again, you can see that they've picked out 3 key topics, some definitions and some pros and cons, and that's how they've chosen to set that out. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and make your first draft. You'll notice I use the phrase first draft here. Now, the student had put in an awful lot of effort to this, and this is a wonderful first draft. But actually, the feedback that I gave is there's a bit too much information in here still. Can you go back and can you refine that even further and maybe put some images in? So that was a really, really outstanding starting point for a knowledge organiser. But together we were able to look at it and think, actually, how helpful will this be for revision? I need to refine that further. So step 5 is your first draft, and then step 6, get feedback and iterate, improve, make it even better. So once you've got your knowledge organiser, and this is an example of one that we've made within the department, Mrs. Green made this one for Unit 3.1. Well, once you've got a knowledge organiser, you can use the look, cover, write, check method to test yourself. So for example, if I'm revising the business ownership part of the spec, well, I might have a look at these, cover the description, advantages and pros and cons, and see how much of that I can remember whilst it's covered, and then check my knowledge. So that's a very effective way to learn. You could use this to create 10 quiz questions and answers. You can use it to create your own knowledge organiser. Well, that's what we're doing at the moment. You could get someone else to test you on your knowledge organiser. So this is your own personalised knowledge organiser. You give it to one of your friends and you say, can you test me on this? They've got the answers there, so they can ask you questions. You could use it to create another revision material like a mind map. You could turn the entire thing into pictures, more dual coding. You can revisit it each week, or set an alarm or put it up on the wall so that you're constantly revisiting it, relearning it. So once you've got your own personalised knowledge organiser, it can be a very effective way to revise if you interact with it and use it.